Yeah. Thank you, sir.
This is a different type of trying to motivate the audience action steps than we usually do. I mean, Nate, as I think you meant to talk about on Tuesday, you should still talk about at some point today, the Ronald McDonald House and what listeners and readers did for that. This is a different type of cause, though, and we needed to put it in the cold open here because I need some help from you fellas and from everybody watching or listening right now. I'm going to start by reading a tweet that I saw from the New York Times Twitter account.
Hello.
Chuck E. Cheese will phase out its endearing and nostalgia-inducing, if perhaps slightly creepy, animatronic band performances at all but 2 of the chain's more than 400 locations in the U.S. by the end of 2024. And so now I understand why, maybe kids these days have moved on past the need for animatronics. I understand kind of a scary, weird, uncanny element to it. But I ask you this, what if one of them was right there? Right here, right behind me, in every episode of Only Weird Games for the rest of the year, maybe longer?
No, you go ahead, sorry.
I've offered that to Chuck E. Cheese. They have yet to officially respond. I've gotten some response, and I'm going to need some help. So I tweeted, here's Mr. Munch is the sort of purple dinosaur-looking fella. This is what I would ideally like out of this. Yes, Seth?
That is absolute nightmare fuel.
That is terrifying.
So now imagine Mr. Munch back here. I'll probably move the chair. I don't know. I don't have a ton of space in my office here, but I'll make it work. And so I said, let me have a Mr. Munch, please, Chuck E. Cheese. I am completely serious. I will give him a loving home. And as everyone listening to this show should know, I mean it. So Chuck E. Cheese responded to me on Twitter and said, Mr. Munch has a forever home at Chuck E. Cheese, but we have to ask, what special touches would you add to your home to make him feel welcome? Now, I think this is a brand being a brand, but I'm not relenting. I said homemade pizza. I'll feed him a homemade pizza. I'll make a whole TikTok series or whatever. I will clear out the space in my office to put him in the background of my video shots for the rest of the year. He'll be the star of every holiday party. Imagine going to someone's house for a holiday party and Mr. Munch is there in a Santa costume. I'll make that happen. And I am here to drive this hard bargain with Chuck E. Cheese. I have begun to get some help. I've now made this request on Twitter. Please, lovingly, kindly encourage Chuck E. Cheese to let me provide a loving home for a discontinued, retired animatronic Mr. Munch, because through Only Weird Games, it would be a remarkable thing to see. Got a few character witnesses that have shown up. Paul said, imagine him wearing an 87 Kelsey top, the marketing benefits for Swifties. Brisco's the way to go. I appreciated that. Steve Fitzpatrick, longtime radio listener and stuffed animal enthusiast, I would say, Photoshop enthusiast, tweeted a picture of Almost Entirely Sports and the stuffed animals I had on my console then. I just need this to continue, I think. I got to build on this momentum because I'm completely serious. And I don't know if Chuck E. Cheese is seeing the benefit of that or not.
Right.
And I need to make this more appealing for them. I'm looking for anyway. Seth, if I got you one of the dogs with the banjo, would you put that maybe in your law office? Nate, would you like a Chuck?
I would like a Chuck. How tall is our guy? Because I'm looking at the photo here.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a logistical problem for me, and I'm signing up for it. Yeah, great height.
Hey, Chuck E. Cheese. You don't have any leverage. Hand them over. You're out leveraged. You've told everybody your business, and you need to realize that if you care about your loyal customer base, you need to relinquish this long-standing, atrocious negotiation tactic.
My mom in the comments has asked a question, which is asking what Renee thinks. I have not talked to her about it. She's finding out right now.
Yeah, that's what
we have a giant paper tiger in our basement. I can have Mr. Munch in my office. Is that unreasonable?
Hey, just so you know, it's in transit and it's gonna happen. So I know you wanted to hear it from me, that I already purchased or acquired said
Yes.
thing. But, I've always loved pinball machines, and you've known I've always loved pinball machines. So why not get another one, right? It's in transit. I can't tell them to send it back.
And hey, Josh, if it makes you feel any better about your chances, I made sure to take that tweet that you did about asking for help, and I quote tweeted it. So now people will actually see it.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Oh, we got a schedule. Seth got a zinger, and I'm trying to get an animatronic Mr. Munch. Welcome to Only Weird Games, where we do this show typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is way less often than the Chiefs will play football across various days of the week in the 2024 NFL season. What the bleep, Nate?
Yeah, did anybody consult us? No, they didn't. Guys, how are we going to do a post-game show the day after Christmas, the day after Black Friday, the day after? Like, what are we doing, guys? They play, when I grew up, they used to play on Sundays. And
sometimes even kicked off at 12 o'clock Central.
Sundays only. And if you were lucky, you got one Monday night football game. Okay? See where I'm coming from. Now I gotta buy what? Hulu? Zulu? What? What's a Peacock? I don't know. You got do you
live stuff?
I stand by the fact that Peacock has a number of shows that I really enjoy.
Babe, do we have Flamingo?
We
Flamingo. Have you heard of it? I hear Tubi's got some stuff. They might have a game. I need it for my fantasy football league. Yeah, Flamingo. Can you Google it? Flamingo. Yeah. They got the Tuesday night package.
Got the Tuesday. That is a sentence we may unironically say within the next couple of years. I've never seen anything like it because it's never happened before. The idea of a football team playing a game on 6 days of the week in one calendar year is absolutely remarkable, unaffected by COVID or other scheduling or whatever.
Correct.
And the Chiefs should just be grateful that they're getting to play Saturday the week before so they get the usual beloved Thursday night football turnaround.
How dare Paramount get shut out like this? How can you
Embarrassing.
let this
Get a
happen?
preseason game, Paramount. Do something.
Paramount, you ain't even got the MLS. What you doing?
Yeah. Apple has football at least.
I read
and baseball.
I read a really great analogy with regards to what the NFL is doing right now in terms of its schedule releasing. Austin Gale over at The Ringer, he said the NFL's heat checks are only going to get deeper.
Yeah.
And he compared what the NFL is doing right now is Steph Curry shooting a three from the logo. Because if you keep hitting, keep shooting. And the NFL, undisputably, anyone who saw, the numbers from what happened on Christmas, which has been the NBA's turf forever. And it's not like one game was really good, and then the Chiefs also played. Well, I wouldn't say they really played. Like
they were out there.
The Chiefs attended.
No.
Yeah.
They attended. The Chiefs did less to win that game than our friends who attended and watched in the stands. At least they didn't actively hurt it. Like they didn't account for negative 14 points. Like
was
14 seconds.
Was that the Richie James? I don't care where you punt this. I'm gonna catch it and I'm gonna return it. Was it?
Well, and then there was Mahomes throwing the worst pick six I've ever seen him throw. Inexplicable trick. Anyway,
Trick play.
But
Yeah.
The
The
when
best
you look
part
at the
is
number.
Yeah, the best part is Richie James going, I mean, it might be out of the end zone. But you know what?
We need a spark. This is my
We
touch.
need a
Yeah.
spark.
It was that, and that game has single-handedly given the Raiders hope. Hey, if we just add another dude to our defensive line, I think we can take the Chiefs this year, which based on that game, I can understand why they think that. And maybe they're right. Maybe there's some kryptonite. But the overarching thing, when you saw the numbers that came out afterward, the NBA right now is just like, they're like a mean bully on the block. They are Debo from Friday. Like they are just, they are knocking out people's sons in front of them. And when they dare get out of the car saying, you want some? Like, no, I don't, get back in the car. Great scene, by the way. they just don't care. And they are going to start, as long as we keep watching, and let's face it, we're all going to whine today at some point or other. I'm going to stump for Peacock a little bit because you can watch
Brooklyn
Brooklyn
Nine-Nine's on
Nine-Nine. You can watch. There are a lot of ads. But I'm right now, I'm working my way through Everybody Loves Raymond. 2 points, and then I'll get back to it. One, totally holds up over time. What got me watching it again is someone tweeted out during the NCAA tournament. I don't know if you saw, I'm sure everyone saw this, where someone said, turn to CBS, this white man can't miss.
Yes.
And then someone quote tweeted it, said, me watching Everybody Loves Raymond in the 90s.
It was the young man from Oakland who
Yeah.
would just shoot. Bro, hey, you can shoot it from the paint?
Go
Layups.
And
What are
let's-
layups?
TurboTax.
And,
Baby, I like to shoot it from 30 feet and out.
and let me tell you, it holds up, man. Especially, well, more so now for me. That show, it's just ridiculously low stakes and funny. But also what I found out today, or not today, found out a little bit while ago.
Golke. There we go.
I am actually a little older than Ray Barone's fictitious character was when that show started. That's the age I'm. Hey, Nate, you're getting close, buddy.
I
You
know.
might be closer
I'm-
to the dad's age at this point, right?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that like anytime I see King of Queens, I'm like, this might be my reality real soon. Like
No, that's
this
Nope.
might be hitting too close to home.
yeah. Like if I go back and watch like the first season of Friends, I'm like, my God, they're all children. It's like no, they're just like 25, and I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
wait, I changed. And so anyway, so we're gonna argue about it. We'll debate. I'll stump for Peacock a little bit because I enjoy the shows that they have. And then we're all going to watch it, and we're all going to tweet about it, and we're all going to kind of hate watch it, but also love it because it's just the and the NFL knows it. And right now the NBA is just sitting there like, what are we going to do, guys? And Adam Silver, I
Hold
assume,
on.
is sitting there saying, I have no idea. Like,
I ain't got LeBron. I mean, he gonna be out in the league. I mean, Steph getting older.
we need
I mean, this-
we need Wemby to be in every game stat.
I mean,
Yeah.
'Cause
yeah, I mean, this Jason Tatum thing's cool and all, but like,
If you give me Wemby and Anthony Edwards, I'll flip over at commercials.
Yeah.
yes.
But you
Hey,
can't flip
hey,
over
I
at
need to-
commercials if you're on Netflix. If you're on Netflix, you're on Netflix. It's diabolical.
That is
and-
horrifying.
hey,
It's so
hey,
bad.
hey, when the league was bad, what did we do? We told them, hey, trade him to LA. Hey, Adam Silver, get that old thing back. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Get-
but Anthony Edwards has to be traded to San Antonio.
It's-
I don't care.
This
I don't
this
care.
offseason,
Has to be
when
traded to San
somehow
Antonio.
the Wolves and the Spurs simultaneously decide to trade Edwards and Wemby to LA, and everyone will be like, well, that seems odd. But I guess that's
also,
weird.
Second
Also,
round picks for the next 10 years. This
Yeah.
isn't
10
something good
years.
value at
Let's.
all.
I mean, what? Ice Pyro says,
Does anybody
Peacock
want Bradley Beal? Sorry, go ahead, Nate.
God no.
Let me try. Hey, Chuck E. Cheese, I'll give you Bradley
Bradley
Beal
Beal.
for Mr. Munch.
Straight up. Ice Pyro comments here. Quote, Peacock will also have Olympic Red Zone with Scott Hansen. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is news to me. Of course, the Olympics are this summer. You telling me they're gonna have a red zone for the Olympics?
I feel like I heard something about that. I didn't know that was.
Oh, I need to get
Peacock.
upon this.
Yeah,
Upon
that's
it.
pretty good. I used to really, I was an Olympics kid. I don't think it really stuck as much into adulthood. I don't know if that's just because I was homeschooled and so we could watch the Olympics during the school day. I'm not really, that's all coming
Okay.
together right now.
I mean, I don't have
but
to be.
give me Scott Hansen and
Yeah.
let's whip around. Let's keep it live and tell me what I should care about, Scott.
Olympic cocaine for
That's
Hey,
that's
Nate,
from a
work-
commenter.
Paris-
Those
Paris cocaine.
productivity levels could be a casualty if there's
I-
cocaine in the middle of summer when I'm not on vacation.
Josh, I wonder, you talk about being homeschooled and being able to watch things during the day. Are you like an all-timer great at the Price is Right games then? Because
No, I don't think we watched as many. Game Show Network was a grandparent house thing. That's not a joke about you being old. It's just true. I'm just thinking out loud. But no, I think we ended up making, specifically with the Olympics, like we kind of made like an international event out of it. At one point, I invented the fictitious country of Joshtralia, made a flag for that and everything. So Joshtralian for life.
your parents loved you so much, man. Like it is just so
Seth, for good
unbelievably
reason.
wholesome. For good.
I was great.
Hey, camera 2. We're gonna go Octobox. Clear that. We're gonna go to diving. Oh my God, is his abs okay? All right, no commercials. Get the sprinters. Okay, here's the sprinters. The 400-yard dash. Oh, he pulled a hamstring. We don't do commercials. Give me the gymnastics.
The shot put. Good Lord, look at that guy.
I hope that's
Cut
it.
away.
I hope Scott Hansen did no work whatsoever preparing for the Olympics. And he's just in awe the whole time. Like, oh, wow, she's fast.
Oh, is that Simone Biles? Yes, it is. Like,
Is she back? I thought she was out. Is she back?
Well, we'll see.
Okay, I don't know.
One last job. One last job.
One last job. Every Olympian should have a very, very public one last job. Bring Michael Phelps back for a few swims.
No joke. I mean, hey,
can you guys tell how sick we are of talking about the schedule? I'm really sorry. I just realized that too. But the Olympics are a sport.
Hey guys, there's something going on in polo. Let's cut over.
Yes.
We've got George Karloftis on the commentary with us.
Put him on the
George,
sideline.
what exactly am I looking at? Like, what? George, I'm going to set you up with a great question here. What is happening? I see a pool.
Yes, and Diana Taurasi just punched a woman from check notes here, Russia. Oh God, we've got an international crisis.
An international incident. Yeah, Gold Zone. It's called Gold Zone.
Choked everybody on the Switzerland team. And Diana Taurasi somehow guarding Caitlin Clark now. What is happening?
Is whitewater rafting a thing? Ice Pyro just commented. And now to whitewater rafting. Good Lord, he's on his stomach in the water. Cut away.
We turned out to U.S. women's soccer, and they're not as good as they used to be. All right, moving on.
Seth, were you about to defend you still enjoying talking about the schedule? Because you wrote about the whole thing, and I think Nate and I spent a large portion of the last couple of days waiting for our day to be derailed by a tweet about schedule news. And your life isn't wired quite that same way, where every piece of Chiefs news can totally dictate your next 6 hours. So if you do have some fresh takes or fresh perspective on the schedule, I'm good with it.
Not only do I have thoughts, I've got 17 of them. And I wrote about it on the Chief of the North newsletter.
Don't tell me you wrote about the Carolina Panthers. Stop it.
Oh no, hang on.
It.
Actually, let's start there. I took every single week and I put what interests me after that. Which, by the way, this was the most narcissistic article I've ever written, and that's only hitting me right now as we talk.
Yeah. By the way, Steph, this is one of the few
week 6
that
bye
I have
week.
not
What
read,
interests me? Gee, I don't know, Seth. What did interest you? You jackwagon, unbelievable. So I apologize to my
not a joke. Didn't seem out of character to me. So take that for what you will. I didn't.
Here's
think
what
that.
I wrote. Week 12 at Panthers, Sunday noon, 11:24. What interests me? I wrote year 2 of Bryce Young against Spags, I guess. The Panthers are a picture of dysfunction from the outside looking in, and so there's just not that much to chew on here. That's it. The rest of it was way better, guys who aren't subscribing. The rest of it, I found out there's something that interests me in every single week. We could play a game here since we're really not doing. Hang on.
Seth, there's a rundown on the side, and I'm going to run us through that, and then you can talk about the games that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, but who's going to make George Gipp in the comments mad if I don't keep going off the rails?
Oh, okay. Well, then bad news, buddy. Thanks. Welcome to your first episode. If it's your last one, I get it, but it is. I don't have the comments open right now, but
hey, real quick.
It's going to be okay, George.
So Someone I kind of know has reached out. Asked me if I want to make any comments on Harrison Butker's commencement speech. It will only take 10 minutes. Let us know when you have some time.
Oh, this is like a media request for you.
Yeah.
Would you
Well,
like
let
me
you-
to respond as your representation?
Sure.
Ask him to get all of your people.
I'm gonna put my hand in front of the mic, be like, we're not taking questions on that right now. Do you have anything related to the Kansas City Chiefs?
Seth, can you
Perhaps.
treat Nate like the Chiefs are going to treat Harrison Butker for the first 6 weeks of camp?
I don't know if I'm legally allowed to tackle him, hog tie him, and
Who?
gag him.
I
We're
mean,
going to hear from
guys,
Nick Bolton
he's not gonna
every
get-
week
he's-
this year.
He's not going to get 8 feet away from. Oh wait, no, Ted's not there anymore. Oh,
Yeah.
poor Brad. He's just going to have to. Brad G is
he'll
going to
be
have
fine.
to run him
He'll
down.
be fine. So
Dun, dun.
you want to know my comments on his comments?
You can tell whoever this is that I will come on after to comment on your comments. Not Butker specifically, but I will comment on your comments, and then Seth can comment on my comments on your comments.
Yeah. Just put on the screen what the NFL put on the screen, which is what everybody's done. Yeah, just
there you
do
go.
that. So about the Saints,
Which week is that again?
week 5.
Tucker,
Week
how hard is
5,
it
all
for
right.
you? Tucker, how hard is it for you to make your voice heard briefly, even if you don't get on screen? If you can't, that's fine. I just wanted to ask you a question to see if we're kind of in a similar place.
I was going to
If
see
I
who I was
can't-
going to kick off, but
Fantastic.
Hey,
So
You
you,
can
can't
still
see
hear
Nate now, but
Nate.
you can still hear him.
yeah.
Tucker, do you feel like a useless little piece of garbage like I do whenever we try to coordinate some topics for the show and then we
Yeah.
don't go to any of them and Seth and Nate just kind of pick and choose randomly, but like
Yeah,
several
yeah,
hours after we asked them what they wanted to talk about?
No,
yeah.
for sure. I definitely sent a message in the group. It's a group chat too. Just
Yeah,
to be clear.
they're
Yeah,
all in.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
is
they
that
can
right?
see it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can
no,
see.
no.
I can see those.
Yeah, you guys can see those. Where,
Oh,
where
man.
Josh and I talk about what we're going to talk about on the
Oh
show today.
man! I
And,
mean, look. Here's the importance of the first 2 games, guys.
all right, now
They
we're back.
gotta
We're still
win.
back.
They gotta
We're
win.
so back.
They
Haircut
gotta,
looking great, Tucker.
Look, they got to win those first 2 games. Because if they don't, they're not going to get the 1 seed. If they don't get the 1 seed, then we should just stop playing football after January.
Isn't it kind of wild that I would say the importance of those first 2 games? Isn't it kind of wild? And we know we knew these on Tuesdays. We don't have to spend a ton of time here, but we know the Bills game and the Texans game when those are showing up now later in the year. But it's kind of crazy that the AFC is going to have a very, very clear like handicapping of where the rest of
Yeah.
the conference stands at the end of week 2. That's kind of remarkable.
Absolutely. Well, here's the other thing. It's going to be one of those things. There's a couple different directions this could go, I feel like. And we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday because we knew the first 2 games. But the Chiefs are in an interesting situation, like I said on Tuesday, where if they lose, people are going to be like, yeah, I remember last year. If they win, people are going to be like, oh, no.
Like, oh,
And
it might
it's-
be over.
The best thing that I think we'll have an opportunity to see, because the Ravens, they had their defensive staff gutted, but every year, week 1, what's Andy Reid going to do with the offense? And he will unfold new things as the season goes along, of course, because they have installs throughout the year. But they grab 2 shiny new things in Worthy and Brown, who can threaten the deep and intermediate zones of the field way better than anyone they had last year. In theory, they are pushing Xavier Worthy way more than any rookie receiver they've ever taken before. Anytime Louis Riddick starts to say stuff, generally speaking, it seems like he's usually like, so I just got off the phone with Andy.
Don't
here's
give
what
the
I'm
game away, Seth.
I mean, look, through intrepid reporting and a nose for the truth, Lewis snuck into some office. Well, now I'm accusing him of committing crimes. So
Yeah,
basically,
I think it's getting worse.
yeah, I know. Well, it usually does when I try to make things better. They've got a guy that they're going to seem to try to implement early and often, who they trust deep. I'm assuming the offense is going to look different than what it's looked like the last couple of years, because they've kind of had to lean into certain things. That that's really interesting, and we might get to see it right away against a really good Ravens defense in theory, and Lou Anarumo, who has given them fits in years past.
And 10
Lou's
days
back
to
week
prepare.
2.
10 days to prepare. Because not that we need to remind people, but they kind of smoked the Jacksonville Jaguars on 10 days rest last year. The Jaguars never scored a touchdown. Now look, for everything that's been said about the
wasn't
first
a
2
fluke
games.
about the Chiefs defense. Like they kept up that
No.
standard the rest of the year. It's so
Yeah,
Go ahead.
which is crazy. I mean, it's a great point, Josh, because that kind of was the game that showed you their formula for the remainder of the year. It was just how much could they repeat it against higher competition, which of course they obviously proved. But you know, the Jacks had pretty much everybody healthy for that game. It was on the road. It was hot as a swamp, you know what, and they still won with a, you know, not fully healthy Travis Kelce and a guy who just came off the streets a week before in Chris Jones. So the assumption is, hey, the importance of these 2 games is, yes, you could get a real leg up because you could have a healthier Travis Kelce. You could have a just as impactful Chris Jones. Obviously, as Seth has said, a more diverse offensive weaponry for Patrick Mahomes. And I mean, if Lewis Riddick is right and Kingsley Suayataia, I thought that was bad. Kingsley
Wow.
Suamataia.
That was worse than the
There it is.
first pre-draft show we mentioned.
You gotta be in rhythm. Suamataia. Goodness gracious. I'm so sorry to the Suamataia family. That, you know, if Lewis is right, then you go back. I mean, I know this is not sexy, but the importance of the first 2 games is.
Don't tell me what I find sexy.
Okay. I mean, what will make the offense sexy is if Kingsley Suamataia is who Louis Riddick says he is through 2 games. Because if that's true, then you got a top 10 to top 5 offense, which is a whole lot of cleavage. But you can't get cleavage unless you get protection.
Seth had his headphones out until the word cleavage, basically, and then he popped the earbuds back in right before that.
Look,
Well, I heard whole lotta as well.
Cleavage can't do much unless it's fully supported, it's angled properly, it's held up by I guess a functional bra.
2 shows in a row of Seth and I being ashamed to be on this podcast is interesting.
Look, it's not sexy, but left tackle play.
I think left tackles can be sexy. Their play can be sexy. Whatever. You listen. You gotta have it in the trenches,
please.
I think, is what Nate's saying.
Hey, please, Andy, please let Kingsley go across in motion, because I've seen fewer sexier things in NFL history than when they said, you know what? We gonna stun on these hoes. Hey, Pete, we're gonna motion our left tackle, and then he's gonna catch a swing pass. Orgasms for everybody.
Seth, your thoughts?
I'm afraid.
Let's take a break.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
This is not on the timeline or the rundown. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that Louis Rezamet was at Worlds of Fun?
No, what? I didn't.
What?
I gotta go to Worlds of Fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, get to something you can type and put in Louis Rezamet Worlds of Fun, because that is one handsome young man. Yeah. And there's something also in the photo that is previous to what I was saying before the break.
I am going to go ahead and not Google anything.
Fair. Yeah, sorry. I figured that was probably the most grateful you've ever been for a cut to break before you needed to finish a sentence.
I have never liked you more than I do in this second.
Almost said loved, but he didn't, folks. Go ahead and note that one down. So the first two games line up, obviously, huge games, super impactful, but the Chiefs get an entire offseason for the Ravens and then 10 days for the Bengals. But then things get kind of nasty scheduling-wise in December. This turnaround, folks, is ridiculous. I'll just pick it up with week 15 because that's Chiefs at Browns on Sunday, December 15th. Then a one-day shortened week preparing for the Houston Texans, who will obviously also actually they're on the same schedule throughout that whole track there because they also play on Christmas. It's Texans Steelers on Christmas, right? I think I've got no.
It's Chiefs Steelers
Ravens,
on Christmas.
sorry.
Ravens Texans, yes. So they're on the same schedule.
Those are the Saturday teams and the Christmas teams. So Texans at Chiefs on a short week, huge game that, depending on how the seasons go, could be a legit AFC playoff seed decider. And then it's the Thursday Night Football-esque turnaround for the Steelers on December 25th. That is 3 games in that 11-day window.
Yeah,
December 15th,
11 days. Yeah.
December 15th through Christmas Day. Browns, Texans, Steelers. 2 of those games on the road. And their bye week being week 6 also means that there's no rest coming right before or right after that, obviously.
Yeah. That's the bye week being early makes that whole thing a bummer. I understand how ridiculously difficult it is to schedule this stuff, but that is unfortunate. You'd think you'd be able to put a bye week in there. Here's something that I actually wrote about in the article that I referenced.
mnchiefsfan.substack.com. You go to bit.ly/Seth really hates money if you want to subscribe if you haven't yet for $12 a year.
So one thing that I noticed is right before this time period, and there's a few different things. So right before this time period where it gets really crazy, right? Like weeks 15 through 17, they do have a Black Friday afternoon game. And so they're going to have a couple of days of extra rest leading into their week 14 Sunday Night Football game, which is nice, I guess, although you're doing the shorter week leading into the Black Friday game because, it's on Friday.
I just started chuckling when you just said, the Black Friday game. Yeah, I forgot about that. Just
psychotic behavior by the NFL. Just completely unwilling to, they are in full-fledged, this is the scene in every movie where they've decided, you know what? I think we're done playing around and we are just going to smash everything in front of us mode, which is just kind of funny. But anyway, that's one thing I noticed is they've got that little teeny tiny break. Here's the other thing that's interesting. Did you notice, if you go back to the very beginning of the season, that they get a ton of extra rest early?
Mm-hmm.
So you start off on Thursday Night Football games, so you get a mini bye there. And then you also have a Monday Night Football game early on with the extra rest there. And then you don't have a game immediately following your Monday Night Football. So you have no short rest there and your bye week. So their first 7 weeks, they get all this extra rest. And then this 3 games in 10 days is tough, especially when you travel for 2 of them.
Yes.
And it leaves me, one of the overall takeaways that I had, and it's almost impossible you can't lock up the 1 seed by week 15 or 16. You just can't.
What?
I mean, barring being undefeated at that point, then yeah. But to me, I think they need some runway because it seems impossible to me to win all 3 of those games. And maybe I'm reading too much into what happened last year in terms of they really seem to, when they went through that stretch where for 2 straight months, they had less rest than their opponents.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea if that's a real thing, which on a plus side, Taylor of the Always Sunny in Chiefs Kingdom, he posted, say again?
Witt. I said Swift first as a joke and then Witt second as the correct answer.
Yeah. Taylor Witt on Twitter, he posted that the Chiefs actually have more rest on average than their opponents this year, which is great. That's better than last year. But seeing how it went down last year, we talked about this. They looked tired against the Bills. They looked tired late in the season. It's hard for me to believe that they will win all 3 of these, which means you might need to have built up some some runway at that point. And these are tough games too.
And they're all AFC games. They're all like
Yep.
that. The Niners matchup being a Super Bowl rematch is cool and all, or the Monday night games inexplicably against half the NFC South.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the storied rivalry of the Chiefs and Falcons.
It will be nice to watch Derek Carr get absolutely cut down by the Chiefs again.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a nice, familiar, warm feeling, I guess. But
who's the Saints backup quarterback?
I do not know.
Just ask it.
I don't
It's probably
know.
still that tight end, right?
Oh, come on.
Probably so. It probably is still the guy who was for a while the highest paid T. Hill in the NFL briefly. That's a real thing, I think. I can't remember what the metric was.
Yeah.
Put my thumb on the scale, but it was true.
That's why this whole Sean Payton and Denver thing I'm just interested in. I'm curious to see how it goes down. But that's something that stood out to me is early they have a ton of rest. Here's the interesting thing though.
Who?
At least to
Spencer
me.
Rattler. Okay. That's right.
Spencer
Spencer
said
Rattler.
Jake Hayner.
Whew.
So last year they had a couple games left after Christmas, right? Because that Christmas debacle.
Nathan Peterman's there too, guys. Sorry, go ahead.
So the Christmas debacle, they still had 2 games left in the season, right? This year, it's a little bit different because there's only 1 game following the Christmas game, which means you say they play either, January 4th, January 5th, whatever. It'll be one of those 2.
It'll be
gonna
probably the 5th. Yeah.
Yep. You'll get another mini bye right then to close out the season. If you have wrapped up your playoff positioning, you could go after this really brutal stretch and then suddenly have a mini bye week and then another kind of bye week for your stars. And if you wrapped up the 1 seed somehow, we could legitimately go into the playoffs where the Chiefs, starters and stars, have not played football for almost 4 weeks. And then everyone will talk about rust and it'll be hilarious. But that's just interesting to me that they really do have a chance here where, for me, I understand the regular season is not all important for the Chiefs, but they have a chance to set themselves up to be way more well-rested and healthier than anyone down the line because of the weirdness of their schedule where it's lots of rest. This is kind of nice. And then the option for some rest at the end.
So here's a question for you fellas, because I'm going to give you my answer after this, but what is the record required for you to be in the driver's seat or to earn the 1 seat this upcoming year? Because I'm not sure the prediction I gave for the record this year is better than last year, but I don't know if it's good enough to be a true 1 seed contender.
The Ravens got it last year at 13-4 in what felt like a everybody gets beat up kind of AFC year. So I think 14 wins is probably what it takes. The Chiefs, obviously, interesting spot with so many of those AFC other 1 seed contenders that the head-to-head would be huge. So if you told me they beat the Texans, Bills, Ravens, and Bengals, meaning that they delivered losses to all those teams, I'm able to see them get there with 13 because 13 for everybody means the Chiefs make it. So but I'd say probably 14. What about you, Seth?
I think I'm with 13 because last year the NFC, the 1 seed was 12-5.
Correct.
And there were multiple 12-5.
Interesting.
Correct.
Yeah, and you know what? I haven't even, and I'm going to try to hold this up because I don't want to look too much at this, but it is kind of interesting. So the year before, the Chiefs wrapped up the 1 seed with 14 wins. The next best was 13. I think 13 gets you there.
That is
again, if your losses are if you lose to the Ravens and Bengals and Bills and Texans, 13 will absolutely not get you there. But
right.
So that's where some of the math becomes really fascinating because, at The Athletic, they ask each writer to give a prediction on a season that hasn't even been close to starting yet. Thank you, overlords. With that being said, I predicted a 12-5 season, which is a 1 game improvement from last year.
Did you go game by game? I moved my camera. Did you go game by game or did you do vibes based? Because I tried to do both and my answers were different. Okay.
Vibes.
Go ahead.
A little bit of a regression from the defense, an improvement from the offense. you might not need the last game of the regular season, which you have to equate that into the math as well, because even though the Ravens had what was it, 14 was it 13 wins last year or 14? I can't remember.
13. Yeah, 13.
They had 13, but technically they lost the last game because it didn't matter.
Or wait, no, hold on.
Anyway, as we try to get the math to math.
What was your question? I was looking at the Ravens were 13-4 with the 1 seed. I think they had it outright.
Yes, they had it outright, and they did not need a 14th victory because they rested everybody the last week of the season. So some of
That's
some
a
of
big
that,
deal.
yeah, some of that is part of my thought process too. So I just think 12 wins puts you in a chance to get the 1 seed.
The Ravens would have had it. Yeah, sorry, because I answered poorly. Bills, Dolphins, Browns, Chiefs all had 11 wins. The Texans won the division with 10.
Wow. So 12 will get you into the conversation. 13 gives you a great chance. Obviously, 14 pretty much solidifies your chance to be the 1 seed. But this is why December matters so much, because there are so many, playoff implicating AFC games to
Right.
where if you could get to 13 after Christmas, to Seth's point, you might be able to hold off everybody else for the 1 seed.
I went game by game right after it came out, and this is where I end up having fun and trouble with the schedule. Also, Tucker says that James Palmer, I'm not going to give what the prediction was, but he'll be on Chiefs News Daily with Haley Lewis coming out at 7 today. So keep an eye out for that on KCSN. I went game by game. I think 14 wins is a excellent expectation, and 13 is fine. And in terms of what the Chiefs have set for themselves, being
Right.
the 1 seed, getting that first round bye, all of that. The 1 seed is the thing that matters the most because it's only one first round bye. Going game by game, I could only talk myself into picking against the Chiefs twice, which I think makes sense in the way that we do it, because I don't know how often we pick against the Chiefs on this show week by week in the
It's not a lot. Yeah, it's not a lot.
And
One
so-
time, 2 of us did.
Oh, come on.
Right.
The man could barely walk
and one of us
out.
never has. And you can decide for yourself, listener, who is more
that is. Yeah, who's that?
intellectually married to their analysis. But what I did going through the schedule was that Ravens midseason are on a short week, happy to take Baltimore. Cincy midseason, late season, short week, happy to pick Cincy there. But the schedule benefits what has benefited the Chiefs, which is more time to prep. So I've got them going 2-0 through 2 games that both feel like toss-ups. So smartly, I would make them 1-1 out of that. But
Right.
looking at both of those matchups individually, I'm taking the Chiefs both times. That continues for me basically until they go to Buffalo, when it's like that's when they may not be favored in that game, so that's fine. And then a question that I wanted to ask you guys in the AFC West is, when are the Chiefs going to lose in the AFC West, or is this a year that they could sweep the division?
Yes.
I ended up going game by game with the Vegas Raiders game going to the Raiders, not because of the blueprint they unlocked last year, but because you get a weird game on the road.
Yep.
The AFC has weird stuff. Gardner Minshew has one incredible game, and then Aiden O'Connell's playing in the other matchup and he stinks, whatever. But this is the part
Josh,
of the prediction element that I need you to get your name on, because I'm with you that this feels like, I'm saying I predicted 15-2 through the schedule, and you're looking at me funny for saying that the Raiders would win one of those games. Somebody from the
'cause he's
AFC West
never-
has to win one of those games if you think that they're going to go 13-4 or 12-5.
Hey,
Right.
let me remind you, Josh. He's never lost in that building. And
I can't remember if it was the road game or the home game, honestly.
if it was a home game last year,
That I-
if you don't think he ain't gonna put them on fire in both of those games, if healthy, you're out of your mind.
Here's
So where's
here's
your
what I
5? Give me 5 losses you're willing to predict right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Nate.
Again, I said it was on vibes.
I know that's what I'm saying. My vibes prediction
go.
is I found
let's do
2
this.
losses to predict, 1 inexplicable one, and 1 coin toss, and now you're at 13-4. That
Okay.
feels right to me, but I had a very
I
hard time
think-
picking losses.
Again, you
I
could
think
say
regular
let's say
regular season Chiefs lose to the Niners, I think.
Off a bye? Andy Reid's going to lose off a bye?
He's never
See?
lost.
I
He
forgot that's
never
off a bye.
he never lost. He never
Shut
lost.
up for a podcast, and you said I'll pick it on vibes. I picked every game. I wrote a paragraph on all of them. You're like, well, maybe they'll lose to the Niners. Okay, Seth Keysor, ball knower, says Andy Reid loses off a bye this year. Okay, Seth, fine. Situationally, the Chiefs have a lot of advantages, and I'm not picking the Steelers to win on Christmas. I'm not going to do it.
He's never lost to the 49ers. Okay, I'm going to give the Denver Broncos the last game of the season because we don't know. It's week 18. So there's one. Maybe at the Chargers. I think the Chargers are the one team in the division.
You think Carson Wentz is losing to Bo Nix? That was your first loss.
Yes, that's the first loss. Give me them going into SoFi 3-0 and Jim Harbaugh circling that game as the pivotal swing game for the Chargers to fully get behind his era, essentially.
Matt McConkey's going to cook Trent McDuffie, and the Chargers defense is better than you think. That's what
Nate
saying.
Yeah, the Chargers don't have a great offense right now. But hey, they're going to be better because coaching matters in this league.
Totally. Definitely. Seth here with the take of coaching doesn't really matter. I love it.
No, I'm sure the Chargers.
Yeah, they might.
Well,
they might lose against Houston.
Sure.
I think they're better than Pittsburgh. There's going to be a funky game in there somewhere.
Totally.
Because I have to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that he was playing with flu-like symptoms, and Sky Moore dropped one of the greatest passes of the season that nobody will remember. So that game will happen, essentially, whether that's against Tampa Bay or Buffalo or LA again. I don't know. I've given you 4 so far. The random game, the at the end of the season when the seeding doesn't matter. Sure, the Chargers, cool.
And the Chiefs are they're losing most of their games against the AFC West.
See, this to me is why this exercise was hard and why I thought it would be worth talking about today.
Yeah.
Is because we're all, I think, on record now of going I think the Chiefs start 2-0 and arguably what could be their 2 most important games of the year, certainly 2 of their top 4. And it's hard to know when the random weird game stinker shows up.
I think it's week 3 against Atlanta. I think it's just a weird opponent, one you hardly ever face.
No.
And I don't think they've figured out the pass rush by then because I don't think Charles Omenihu's back. And I think you're still getting kind of the young guys used to it. They got a lot of weapons. Kirk Cousins, when he's not being pressured, can sling it. I mean, assuming that they let him start this year.
Or do you want to let the old guy take the reins?
What if do you think they'll literally be here's my question. Do you think they'll literally be awake on 1 p.m. December 15th against the Cleveland Browns? Do you think they'll actually be awake?
I feel like that one might actually
be awake, and I'm like, damn, who are they killing?
I think one game that and this is just, again, this is mostly
will they be sleep? Will they be there physically but not there mentally against the Cleveland Browns?
I think the Browns, there's a possibility because they're a team that might be doing well and say some stuff. I think the most likely one for them to sleepwalk their way through is actually the next week, December 21st, at home against the Texans, who are a really good team. Here's what I can see happening. The Texans having a really good year, ramping it up. This is exactly what we thought, right? Make for a big matchup down the stretch. They beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and then they get to come back to Arrowhead at some point in the playoffs, and everyone's like, this is it. And then we get to watch Patrick Mahomes reach into the chest of a fan base and rip their still beating heart out again, which is always hilarious. It's never not funny. Sorry, Texans fans. You actually seem like a pretty decent fan base, but it always ends the same way. And that's actually what makes this thought experiment so interesting. It is impossible to intelligently justify betting against Patrick Mahomes in any one game. You know that they're going to lose some games. They have to. It's so hard to win in the NFL. There's probably going to be hiccups.
Moore
with the
will drop a
offense.
pass.
Yeah,
Because
someone's
Marquez Valdez-Scantling will drop a pass.
Yes.
Because Kadarius Toney will drop multiple passes.
Well,
because Kadarius Toney will light up
They lost
on the wrong side of the
They lost
field.
like 3 or 4 games last year on the back of the worst wide receiver room in the NFL. That's how they
I'm
lost.
sorry. I knew
If
I
the
was going to say
defense
that
is
at
not-
some point. Let me
If
go.
the-
Let me go through last year's schedule, Seth.
Right. Listen,
Because
Seth,
it's
Bryce
insane.
Young takes a little bit of issue with that statement, but
You-
bottom 2 for sure.
You might be okay. You might be right, Josh. Okay, take it. All right.
Adam Thielen ranks what on last year's Chiefs?
Oh, second.
Wide
Easy,
receiver.
easy. It's
Second.
late season
Easy
Rashee Rice,
second.
Adam Thielen. Easy.
He's like first for the
Guys.
first 12 weeks of the year.
That's fair. That's fair.
Justin Watson was leading the team in receiving yards halfway through the season.
This is another thing with this year that's weird. Is so you look to December when you have all these games piling up, all these short weeks. Maybe the Chiefs are groggy. They're trying to come out of the first half of the season. Well, the second half of the season, they might get their number 1.5 receiver back. And if you survive the first 4, 6, 8, whatever weeks,
Right.
also the early bye just means that think one extra game. If it's a 6-game suspension, Rice would miss the Niners game in week 7. Just as a little thing to keep in mind. But if you do beat the Ravens and Bengals out of the gate, you do come out of that first 6-week stretch 5-0, then you're going to say that returning last year's number 1 receiver in his second season, getting him back into the offense, like the offense should improve when Rashee Rice gets back. But their schedule lines up to where the Chiefs should probably feel the heat of the back half of the schedule harder than they felt it in the first half.
Yes.
All of it's for me, it's Ravens and Bengals, whole offseason to prepare, 10 days to prepare. The things that would make me comfortable picking against the Chiefs in these individual circumstances aren't really as valid as they would be in other years or other timing.
They're so good.
They lost to the Detroit Lions because of Kadarius Toney.
Yep.
They lost to the Denver Broncos because of flu-like symptoms. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles because of Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They lost to the Green Bay Packers because no Nick Bolton, no Drew Tranquil in the receivers.
Cook.
They lost to the Buffalo Bills because of Kadarius Toney. They lost to the Las Vegas Raiders because Christmas.
Because the Grinch.
It's worth keeping in mind that every single game except the Packers game. And LaFleur, I thought, called as good a game against Spags as I've seen. And I think Tranquil getting hurt really Bolton was already out.
Awful. It was abysmal.
And then Tranquil coming out, you could almost see Spags like, uh-oh. And then Cook getting hurt because he was having such a good season. Hopefully he
that was
comes
kind
back
of the
healthy.
uptick for Jordan Love too. Like that was sort of a little bit of not quite a coming out party, but early on in that process.
Yeah, and they've got good weapons. And so I mean, shout out to them. Other than that game, the Chiefs defense had they played so well week in and week out that had the Chiefs, and we talked about this last year because we were pulling our hair out. Had the Chiefs offense played at like 85% of what it normally does, the Chiefs, I mean, weird stuff happens, of course, that changes every game, but it's hard to see them losing any of those games except Green Bay.
Yep.
That was like the only game where it was like, yeah, they kind of got outplayed there, both sides of the ball. Other than that, it was a bunch of freakish stuff, and they seem to have shored up the wide receiver stuff, in theory, to where you're at least getting a competent level of play.
They need one more, and they probably know this. They being the Chiefs, they need one more. Give me one more. They know.
The last time you were this coy about something, you were laying on a bed and basically prophesied that something would happen.
Yeah, that is true. Now I cannot lay down for this one. That's what he said. But they know they need one more. That's what I'll put out there. They know they need one more. And look,
and there are 2 remaining free agent wide receivers, so everybody flip a coin.
No,
there's like 4, okay? They
Hunter Renfro.
There's like 4 receivers left, guys. And you know, I thought Zay Jones made an interesting decision, you know? But it's It's his prerogative. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was the first person doing this nonsense to tell you that Chris Jones was going to remain a Chief. So, I mean, I'm doing okay.
He's doing
But
okay.
they know they need one more, and it doesn't have to be now. Doesn't have to be really until training camp, as I've always said. McCole Hardman doesn't have a job, and I've lost everybody's support.
I mean, the air. I saw Seth. I don't know how this worked physically, Seth, but I actually saw your head deflate like a balloon. It's fine now. I don't think it's a medical emergency, but I saw
McCole
the air
Hardman
come
caught
out
the
of
last pass of the season. I don't want him
And
on my
I'm
team.
I don't
want him on my team.
Happy for him. I am.
But he knows the offense.
Does he? I mean, he knows how to run corn dog. We've got that established. I just don't.
If he
the
and Sky
role that
Moore
they
and Kadarius
need-
Toney are all in training camp, and two of them get roster spots, like the Joker snapping a pool cue over his knee, that's fine. But why is Brett Veach / Andy Reid / Patrick Mahomes allergic to a 6'2" receiver? I don't know.
He's really fast.
I just go Hardman fine.
Here's for me. You know what? I'll say it this way. McCole Hardman would be, based on everything we've seen, an upgrade over Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney.
Yes, he would.
So that's something. And with the people that they have in the building, they wouldn't need him to do a bunch of other things. And, maybe with Rashee Rice out the first, 8 weeks or whatever, you need someone to catch those quick wide receiver screens.
You in a jet sweep or two.
See,
maybe this year the Chiefs trade Hardman away at the deadline and it's all a wash.
No, yeah, that could be true.
Play him while Rice is out, get that value up, get that compensatory whatever that you lost last year. Boom.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. It just wouldn't quite be what I want in terms of being able to diversify the roles of Worthy and Brown more. But that was their last shot really at that. Because let's say they got, because everyone wants them to sign Michael Thomas because they remember the seasons that he had. Michael Thomas is a slot guy. So that doesn't necessarily allow you to diversify the roles of Brown and Worthy. But neither does Hardman. So then it's like, well, maybe grab a guy who's incredibly fast. I don't, and I like Hardman. I feel terrible. Like, it's just, I'm just such a hater, but I just don't know how much it moves the needle.
Look, guys, I understand that I built you up to disappoint you, but sometimes that's life. Sometimes knowing the known commodity is not as appealing as the new thing, the new scent, the new appeal. The grass potentially being greener, or you could just get the dog to come right back across the just come on back, just get not their yard, our yard. This is what I'm dealing with every day, guys. It's Maple, our yard, not their yard.
Here's my analogy for you guys. Here's mine.
Ooh.
The Chiefs just drafted Coca-Cola in the first round. They've got Pepsi on the roster. They've got what's that? They've got Shasta Cola on the roster. They've got Special K Cola also on the roster. Could I interest you in 7-Eleven's brand? Not really. I think I'm good. Could I get a Dr. Thunder to maybe mix it up? Maybe Michael Thomas isn't Dr. Pepper anymore, but can he be Dr. Thunder? It's at least a little different. That's where I've got same receiver.
What about McCole Hardman, Mountain Dew Red?
He is not Mountain Dew Code Red. How dare you? How dare you? Mountain Dew Code Red might be Justin Jefferson.
Wow.
Mountain Dew Purple.
There's a lot of
I
Mountain
think
Dew
they got
flavors.
an orange one now too. So here's the one thing that would be interesting with Hardman when they brought him
regular
in.
Mountain Dew, no Mountain Dew
Gamer Fuel.
When they brought in Hardman last year, they were desperate.
Yeah.
Like they needed help. And to be fair, he very quickly reminded fans like, hey, he can move the needle in some ways at times, and he can be a frustrating player. This year, he would be coming in to be out of the gate wide receiver 3 in all likelihood. The role thing is complicated. Like you said, I do like the Coke Pepsi analogy. There's overlap there, but I get where you're coming from on it. He would make sense. It would improve the wide receiver room, and that's where I do the one more thing, because I don't trust Tony. I don't trust Moore. And so if it means that McCole Hardman is seeing your wide receiver 3 snaps and Justin Watson is your, hey, I'm a tall boundary guy who can line up at the line of scrimmage and take shots at the line of scrimmage, I can do that. And then, of course, obviously make one incredible catch near the sideline every 2 games that make us all wonder why you can't do it more often. Fair enough. We want the new thing. McCole Hardman in a wide receiver 3 role, and then eventually wide receiver 4.
Hey,
very different than McCole Hardman in wide receiver 2, let alone wide receiver 1.
Hey, Seth, who caught the longest pass in last year's Super Bowl?
That would be McCole Hardman, sir.
Seth, who got the longest touchdown pass in Week 4 of 2018? I don't know.
Would you like some?
Yeah, So now that I feel like this is a near certainty, I have never been more sure of anything in my life than I am sure that McCole Hardman will be back now.
Ladies and gentlemen, he said that, not me. Oh, aggregators. Seth said that.
And I'm not a reporter. I have no inside information.
The reporter is trying to give you insight of what he could give you as of now. Now, look. Do the Chiefs have $16 million in cap space? Of course they do. What could you do that between now and training camp?
Good trade for DK Metcalf. I'm kidding.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, I did not say that. Okay,
but also shipping to get Mr. Munch to my house.
$16 million in cap.
$16 million's a lot of money.
Pick up the phone, Chuck E. Cheese, you cowards.
Nate, do you want to say the Ronald McDonald House thing? It's very heartfelt and really impactful. We're over an hour, so I don't think we're gonna have time to get to off-season lessons. Also, I believe here, I'll give a little tease. If you guys do off-season lessons next week, I'm gonna be pissed. I am going to tease what I think may be, I believe, the first time in the era of the 3 of us podcasting under any umbrella. I think Tuesday, you, dear listeners, may get the first ever Seth Keysor, Nate Taylor edition of Only Weird Times.
Oh God.
I think we did once when you did that.
I was on my way back from a doctor's appointment at one point, but you guys BS for so long before the show that you had not started when I got home.
Correct.
I feel like
I almost died. You stopped doing the show for a little bit. I appreciate that in retrospect.
Did we really stop doing the show?
I mean, it was only like a week. I was back to work pretty quickly after knocking on death's door. Those won't pay themselves.
No, it'll be fine.
I say that sincerely, Lord. Dear Lord. Look, guys. Is there some free agents available? Yes. Is McCole Hardman an option? Always. Do you have cap space for a major move? Shell something fall out of the sky? Of course. I'm just saying there's a litany of options, and the team knows they need one more because somebody's getting suspended. So look, I have some news. I will break it here. I have withheld it until now. You guys are amazing. Yes, I tweeted out, a couple days ago about the wonderful work we all did as a community. I did my part.
You and Holly did almost all of the work.
I did my.
He is extremely generous.
Holly told me, bring 2-gallon Ziploc bags. Do not disappoint these people. To which I did. I grabbed as much confetti as I could. We obviously delivered it to you all as a memento. Some commemorative confetti of the Chiefs being the first back-to-back champions in 2 decades. And of course, to my surprise, we never ask what the amount is. We just tell you that, look, the donations that are over the postage, whether domestic or international, that will go to, what we've done annually now, which is give it to Ronald McDonald House here in Kansas City, a wonderful organization that helps families get as much medical need as possible for their children. I was able to meet a few of the families the week of the draft. God, that was a crazy week, but I was so happy to do it and hand deliver some confetti to them. The last pieces we had left in our beloved house. And look, based on those donations, first told here, obviously through the internet, we raised $9,678.
Wow.
It's absurd,
awesome.
guys. Again, $9,678. And then someone had the bright idea to want to make a round number. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can report to you as of right now, there will be an extra additional donation of over $300. And I got this through Venmo, so I'm going to shout them out. This is from Cape Volleyball Club. That is what came across my screen a couple days ago to get us to $10,000 for Ronald McDonald House in Kansas City. And so, Dion, thank you so much. We did not ask this. You've now gone above and beyond our expectations. Dion also says, you needling Josh and Seth on Thursday's show, or I think he meant Tuesday's show, about Harrison Butker was absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to say so many things, but look at
you got a radio show to go do an interview with here in about 10 minutes, I think, right?
But look at the time. Hey, Nate, what are your thoughts? What are your comments on Harrison Butker? Nate? Hello? Did he hang up? Is he there?
Hey, did you guys know that DK Metcalf's cap hit next year when you take out the signing bonus isn't that bad?
Beep, 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 beep. Hello?